Hi, I'm Sarah Wilder, and this is part 22 of Surviving the Man I Married. In part 21, you heard about the first half of 2022, Jim's COVID, and my new job. In this episode, you'll hear, and the ones to follow, this will be a four-part uh, session for part 22. You'll hear the rest of those stories and about our last road trip. In this part 22A, you'll hear about my nurse. So, uh, remember from the last episodes that I told you Jim and I each got jobs at Walmart, working as stock clerks out on the floor. Well, as my role diminished, Jim's role grew into full time, and that was okay. I had my own car. We were able to split our schedules. However, I'm extremely allergic to all things corn and soy, any kind of corn and soy. I think I've mentioned it before. And in Walmart, there's just too much of it airborne. I started having problems, so I started wearing like nitrile gloves to work. Then I started wearing a mask. Then I added long sleeves, and just nothing seemed to help. By the end of May 2022, I was in a full blown um, allergic reaction that triggered an autoimmune crisis. So I'm sure a lot of you ladies know what I'm talking about. So I was on an extended medical leave from like Memorial Day weekend on. Um, it wasn't a complete surprise given my history, but I was taking that chance because initially I did so well, but it was a cumulative situation that eventually I suffered the price for. My body paid the price, and it was a big blow to my goal to gain greater freedom in my already small world. Having a job was important to saving up the money I needed to leave Jim once and for all. I knew he would not leave our townhome. That is why I was planning on being the one to exfil. um, okay, so in that was the beginning of June. I was no longer working. I was on leave. I was back to seeing all my specialist doctors whom I hadn't had to see in over a year because the infusions, they right away helped. I was so strong. I hadn't had to see those doctors but every 6 months or once a year. And now I was back on that guinea pig wheel of doctor appointments. My June infusion rolled around, and my nurse Rita had to make notes in my chart of the new medical situation to update it, all the setbacks that having the job had created. And she felt kind of sad for me. She knew how happy I'd been. Rita and I had spent the last 5 months as her being my assigned caregiver. June was month 6, and she was also aware of the whole situation with Jim and I. She knew I was planning on leaving. I was miserable. Jim was nuts, and he was mean and sometimes scary. She was rooting for my departure just as soon as I could manage it. And these treatments weren't just a little doctor appointment once a month. These were lengthy. I've mentioned it in previous episodes that Rita and I were together for upwards of 7.5 hours. The plasma had to be administered really, really slowly for my body not to reject it. And so, I would sleep, we'd watch TV. She did lots of charting and lots of work on her laptop. And I toked weed, I ordered DoorDash, had a lot of 0-calorie cola. And we were in my comfy basement where we had a full bathroom, a large, comfy space, recliners, a beautiful window. Um, it was really a comfy space. But there were some rules. There were some rules. Okay, so before Rita was my regular nurse, I had a different one every month for all of 2021. And honestly, none of these people could be considered especially attractive, to be honest, because that's the yardstick we're using right now. So I knew why Jim began his habit of barging in my appointments towards the end. He'd get home around 90 minutes before the end of my appointment with Rita. So he would do this because she was attractive, very cute, very petite, smart, uh, assertive, but quiet. And he wanted to flirt with her. But Jim also, like a lot of maybe all narcissists, all malignant ones anyway, began his habit of barging in also to exert his presence where he knew it wasn't wanted. It was an irresistible temptation for somebody like him. However, to me, it was upsetting and annoying. And to Rita, it was a distraction, and she considered it disrespectful. So in our June infusion, as the hour of Jim's impending intrusion approached, something we both openly dreaded, Rita asked me her usual question, which was, I wonder who we'll see today. Because in the 5 months we'd been together, she had already met the cowboy more than once and she disliked him immensely. And she had met other versions of Jim and fully recognized that he had different sides to him. And she always got really pensive as the clock approached 1:15. So that'd be about a little over 6 hours into my infusion. We're going to stop here. This is the end of part 22A. I hope you'll hop back on for 22B. You'll hear about Jim's bum knee and the beginning of that road trip from hell. Thank you for being here.